Hello, this is Steve from the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast, and you're listening to the Not Scary for Witches program. I guess you have nothing better to do.
Good night for trick-or-treating, don't you think, Lily?
Mm-hmm. I look really scary.
You do. Man, there's a lot of kids dressed up as clowns this year.
Yeah.
Man, one Pennywise after the other. I'm starting to not even be scared of them. Alright, here's the next house. Go on up there. Now make sure you say trick-or-treat. And thank you, okay? Go on.
Trick-or-treat.
Oh, hello, young lady. What are you supposed to be?
A ghost?
A ghost? I thought you just rolled out of bed because of the sheet and all. Oh, would you like something real healthy in your bag there? Here you go. Here's one. Take another one, too.
Thank you. Ugh.
Awesome. What'd you get? Anything good? Butterfinger, Rice Krispie Treats? Like the big candy bars? Anything?
Oh, no.
Man,
Gave me an apple and a carrot.
this is crazy. Get rid of that stuff. Get it out of your bag. We need the room.
Okay.
Alright, that's the last house on this street. Let's go around the corner over here. Up the hill a little ways. Oh, you know what? That
What?
creepy house on the hill? Somebody moved in there now.
Dad, do you know who that is?
Who?
It's Maurice.
Oh, Maurice. That's just an urban legend, Lily. There's no such thing as Maurice. Who told you that? Did you hear that at school?
My friend told me.
Nah, that's bogus, dude. Alright, listen. You go on up there. Check it out. Look at it. It's so creepy. It's perfect for Halloween. You go on up through the hedge maze and on up around the corner where I can't see you anymore. And make sure you ring that doorbell. Hey, and say trick or treat. And thank you, okay?
Seriously?
Yeah, you want some candy, right? Or you want to go home with just this apple and this carrot?
Fine.
Alright, go up there. Don't be afraid.
Oh, and hey, tell Maurice I said hi.
This is a very long driveway. I don't think I can make it up. After that hike, I better get some good candy. I'm gonna ring the doorbell now. What the heck? Trick or treat. Hello? Anybody here? Anyone home? You have any candy? Hello?
Hey, little girl, look down here. Wait, what is this shit?
The Not Safe for F***ing Worker Placement podcast.
I flipped the board. I despise that game. Oh, shit. That sounds like... Oh, wait.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 12 of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast. Why not safe? You'll be placing your workers in the grave.
Oh, goodness. What was your scary witch laugh?
That was all I could do.
Where's the scary? Come on.
I don't have one. Do I have one?
Give it like, "Arroo!" That's a. That was pretty good.
How's that?
That's gonna totally clip on the audio recording.
You told me from my scary witch laugh.
All right, good job. All right, it's episode number 12 of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast. You should have heard the other things we tried to come up with. Stick around at the end for the
Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast options.
Definitely the Not Safe for Work bloopers. All right, we're here with our spooky Halloween episode. I just sound like I'm introducing Saturday Night Live. I'm like, and now Chris Farley
has arisen from the dead.
David Spade. All right. So we're going to talk about some board games today having to do with spooky Halloweeny themes. But first up, the scariest thing of all, plugs. We're going to plug all our stuff, which is all found centrally located at www.nsfwppodcast.com, where you'll find links to download all the shows, RSS feed, iTunes, Facebook, Twitter. Follow us, like us, talk to us, please, on all of our social media and such. There you go. Plugs are out of the way. That is the most scary part, and you've survived it. You are the final girl.
Mm-hmm.
All right, babe. So let's get into this. We got a lot going on in this episode. We're going to have some contributors. We're going to have some fellow board game media people check in with us about some spooky and or scary tales that have or have not happened to them in their real life, or they made up. I'm not sure which. And I'm not vetting them for truth. So let's do what we always do first and talk about games we've been playing. Or have they been playing us? And other spooky things. We sat here before this show and tried to think up scary intros, and it was just like,
we suck.
There was just a bunch of blank stares at, like, I don't know. What do you do?
Are you thinking? I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking. Are you thinking?
Give me some ideas here. No, this is the best we can do for our spooky mood. But I'm going to enhance it all later in post-production with spooky music. Like now, there'll be lightning and thunder.
And a girl screaming, here.
All right, now stop. I don't want to have to do any more of that.
Oh. You mean I can't do bat fluttering here?
That's the best you're going to get. All right, so what have we been playing, babe? We tried to intentionally get in some Halloween-y type games, and we succeeded.
Yes.
So what did we play first?
We had Vaughn come over, and we played Touch of Evil.
A Touch of Evil by Flying Frog Productions. And we've talked about that in a previous episode, but this is really your just second full game of playing it. And first playing with 3 players, and we played it co-op again. I really had thought about trying to maybe play like 2 against 1. I would play one side and you and Vaughn play the other, and teams, because that's an option in that game.
I like the co-op.
But you like the co-op. Super awesome game. Why don't you talk a little bit about A Touch of Evil again?
Yes. So Touch of Evil, you have you get to pick out from all these awesome characters, and the artwork itself is based on people who have backed the game, correct?
No, these are actually the people who made the game, or friends of theirs, or something. Yeah,
So it's real artwork on
it's pictures. It's photographs. Yeah. It's like photoshopped cosplay pictures.
Yeah, so it's real people. It's not drawings.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an interesting take, and something that I don't see very often in artwork on games. So
you don't see that because most people don't like that.
I really enjoy it. I think it's because it's not seen, and I think that's why I like it so much.
It is different. Definitely gives a different look.
It does, and so you get to choose from all these characters that have some kind of magic or some kind of something fun. And I'm Sarah both times.
You are
I like
good
Sarah.
at explaining games.
I don't know why you're having me do this. I'm really bad at this.
Okay, well here's the blueprint. So first you say what the game is about, and then you talk about how it's played.
We've already talked about it before.
I know, but so your character, you played the same one you did
Sarah,
before, right?
The witch.
Sarah, the bright witch, right? And she has the special ability of she can get the influence, which is the currency of the game. You get 2 of those at the beginning of every turn, which is pretty valuable. So Touch of Evil is a gothic horror board game set in the early, probably 1400s, and no, it can't be that because it's colonial America, so it's 1700s. Jesus, I'm terrible with dates. Why would I just spout out 1400s? Like, I don't know. That sounds good, but I think it's supposed to be colonial America, so let's say early 1700s. And because everybody's wearing wigs and shit, so that makes more sense. But it's basically Sleepy Hollow, the board game. Except for now on Kickstarter, there is Sleepy Hollow, the board game.
Is it really?
Yeah, and it's supposed to be. It's by some pretty good designers, by guys who have designed some like the Warhammer Quest Venture card game.
Have you already got it for me?
No, because it's super expensive, and I don't know. I've been looking at it, but again, we have a touch of evil, and I like it a lot. And there's
Christmas is coming.
So much content we haven't seen. Well,
but yeah, I want Disney code names too.
Yeah, we're gonna get that. So let's get back on task here.
Yes, Touch of Evil.
Touch of Evil. So it's gothic horror. It's basically the idea of Sleepy Hollow, sort of town that gets starts getting corrupted by evil. And there's all kinds of different evil. The time before we had played against the Scarecrow. This time we randomly drew a bad guy, and it was the werewolf. So we went up against the werewolf. And I had thought, did you think that the time before that it was pretty easy the first time we played? So we tried, there's several ways to make the game harder. So we tried the advanced side of the bad guy, the villain.
This was the advanced side?
That was the advanced side, yeah. And so it makes their minions a little harder and makes them a little stronger at the end of the game. And we used, during the co-op rules, it's kind of supposed to be a little harder anyway because you make an extra roll and look on a table every turn, and bad things can happen to you. And I still thought it was extremely easy.
It was. I think if we didn't have 3 players and we had the advanced side, it would have been a lot harder.
Would have been a lot harder, yeah. But it was like minions only came out on the board like twice.
Yeah. And
they were really easy to beat. I think that game gets really challenging whenever the board gets completely populated with a whole bunch of minions, which can happen. But didn't happen at all in this game. Mm-mm. So we just basically cruised through. But it was still fun. That's the thing about this game. Even if it's not challenging necessarily, it's still fun to just go around and explore and, build up your characters. Now, there is a whole nother rule set of even more advanced game where you can add in some more rules that's supposed to up the difficulty again. And I think next time we play it, if we play it co-op, might be worth doing that, just to make it challenging. So it's actually kind of, you might at least get injured once during the game or something. It might be nice, because I don't think we took any hits in that game at all.
Yeah, we did.
That we couldn't heal immediately.
Yeah, we healed them, but we didn't get hits.
Yeah, but it was like, you get hit, no big deal. Here, I heal you. It's over. And it's like, there was no tension, but still a fun game. Very random, lots of dice rolls. Everything has to do with dice rolls, but you still like it?
Absolutely. I'll definitely play it again.
And there's so much more content in that box, different villains and stuff to play. And like I said, I'd like to try those more advanced rules and just see everything that it has to offer, So that's A Touch of Evil, one of the best thematic, horror games I think there is. This side of probably Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition probably takes the cake for the best, horror game. We didn't get a chance to play that, for the episode, but we've talked about it in one of our previous episodes. It's probably the benchmark for all horror games right now anyway, so you can't go wrong there. But I decided to pull out one that we hadn't played in a long time after that, and it was Kingsport Festival, and that's by Passport Games, designed by Andre Chavesio and Gianluca Santapietro. Yeah, that's perfect, I think.
Oh, that sounded great.
Yeah, my pronunciation is spooky good.
Wow.
Your eyes roll anymore, it will be a horror show. It'll be like they'll be back in your head. All right, so Kingsport Festival is an H.P. Lovecraft retheme of Kingsburg, the game, which was basically a medieval fantasy dice placement game that came out several years back. And I don't really know how it's totally cool that people do this, but this different company, I don't know if they licensed it. I think Kingsburg was maybe a Fantasy Flight game, but they took the exact same mechanics and put the H.P. Lovecraft skin on it, which is basically you are cultists. Each player is playing as a cultist, and they're trying to summon these different great old ones for their powers, right? And their powers are going to give you ritual items which are these cubes in the form of, they're purple cubes, black cubes, and red cubes, and they're like death, destruction, and I don't know, something else. Theme is pretty loose in this game. I mean, the artwork is good and everything, but this game is about rolling dice and putting them in places to get cubes, to turn those cubes into points. And then the really cool thing that actually makes it a fun game is that that's basically half the game. And the other half is expanding on this board, because there's different locations around Arkham and they're all start off kind of blocked off, and you have to expand into them at like the last phase of the round. And every time you expand into one, you have to have the right components. You know, that's what you're getting those cubes for. You have to get the right components to move into there, and you have to be connected to another area that's adjacent to that. And then as you move up, and they start at level 1, then they go to level 2, level 3, level 4, and there's different paths. So you're not going to be able to get on all of them throughout the game, but each one you get into gives you some points usually. And some of them give you bonuses on the raid, which is a thing that comes out, I think it's 4 times in the game. Mm-hmm. And depending on the scenario that you play, they're at different rounds. At the end of the rounds that they're selected on, you'll know they're coming because they're on the time track. So when you get to that round, at the end of it, you'll know there's going to be a raid. And you can look at a card and you can see that the raid is going to either be a strength of, like, at the beginning, the first raid is like 1 to 3. And then it's like 1 to 4 or 2 to 4, and then it's 3 to 5, you know, and so on. So you know the range at which it's going to be, and there's even some spells or some powers you can get that allow you to look at them and see exactly what you're facing. So you need to get to these other spots so that you can up your power, your strength against the raid, because you don't want to lose the raid because it's bad, right? You lost a raid, right? I lost a raid and lost like 10 points and all my cubes, and it was not pretty. I think it was like 3 points, but it was. It was too many points. It was bad, yeah. So, basically what you do... Somehow lost by 50 because of the one raid. Yeah. Well, the one thing that's cool in this game that also is to think about that I don't think Kingsburg has is you have to manage a magic track and a sanity track. And your sanity, usually every spot that you take, like, okay, how you actually play the game is you roll your dice. There's everybody has 3 dice, and you roll your colored dice. And you count up the total pips on there, and whoever has the lowest goes first in turn order, which is good because they gain some sanity. They gain 2 sanity back, and whoever's second lowest, then they gain 1 sanity, and whoever's behind them doesn't get any. But every time you place out on these different great old ones for their ability, which is what resources they're going to give you, and they have numbers on them. They start at X, which is anything, and they go from 1 on up to 19. And if you're doing the math, you know you can't get 19 with 3 dice, 3 D6s, but there are ways to boost your numbers with some special abilities and stuff. But you take the die that matches the number, either 1 die or 2 die or 3 die, however, whatever the total matches that number. So I can take a roll of a 2 on a dice and put it on the 2 all by itself. And then maybe I rolled a 5 and a 6, so I can put both of those on an 11, or I can split them up on the 5 and the 6. But the catch is you want to go early in the turn, because if you're going later, other people have already placed on those spots and you can't go there, right? So that's one of the biggest things is getting your turn order so you can keep your sanity. But the problem is if you roll low and go first all the time, then you're not going to be able to get the high numbers to get the really powerful old ones, because they get more powerful as they go up in number, right? So what do you think about that mechanism? I suck at it. It's just rolling dice. You can't suck at rolling dice. But I did. What do you think about it, though, as a game? Yeah, no, the game is fine. I like the game. I'll play it again, even though I lost horribly. But yeah, I ended up playing first a lot because they kept on getting low numbers, and so then I wasn't getting enough cubes, and so then I didn't finish one of my raids, and then I had to lose more points, and so it was a bad game for me all the way around. But I mean, the game itself is fun. You guys like literally beat me by 50 points. Like that's I don't think it was that bad, but no. And you were starting to score quite a few points quickly at the end. But you got off to a slow start, and then you got a setback in the middle because of missing that raid. the one thing that I noticed that was different is like, okay, the buildings that we chose to go into, you kind of went the opposite way on the board, which seemed to be geared toward a different play style, you know, because like on the side we went was getting the raid power. And then Vaughn and I both got on a spot, which allowed us to every turn, we could just spend 1 magic point to get a point. So let's say we expanded into a building and got 4 points. Well, all we had to do was just spend a magic and get an extra point on top of everything we did. If we expanded into a building, we could spend one. So that was just 1 point we were getting every turn that you'd never even had access to. You know, so I think it's neat to know the different, like until you play the game, you don't even know that exists. And I had played it before, but we both played it before, but in a long time. And I didn't even remember that was there. And half the game, I think for like 2 turns, I forgot to even do it, you know, and then Vaughn was like, oh, I'm here. I can do this.
I can do this.
And so I'm like, oh yeah, every turn, remember, you can spend that magic to do that. And that's the one thing that's difficult in this game is as the game goes farther and progresses, you get so many powers from these buildings that you have to remember, when do they trigger? You know, what do they do? How can I do it? Because they allow you to manipulate your dice, you know, and to re-roll and do all that stuff. Like you got one that was good for you, where if your sanity, except it didn't work out for you because you kept going first so often that your sanity was always up. And you had the special ability, which I ended up getting towards the end, which helped me. You had the special ability which allowed you to re-roll if your roll was less than your sanity or more than your sanity, right? Sanity. But your sanity was all the way up to like 20.
And I kept rolling low.
So you weren't going to roll that low, you know, or that, yeah, you couldn't roll that low. So when I got that one, it was nice because I kept rolling high when I didn't want to.
Well, sure, and your sanity was down to like 2.
Yeah, my sanity was down low. And the problem is at the end of the game, like there's also spell cards that you can get from taking the from placing your dice out. And the spell cards there's 3 different types, and they go with the types of the color cubes, the theme, like death and destruction and magic. And I kept taking the red ones, which are the destruction ones, because they're supposed to give you points, basically. And the one I got towards the end of the game, like the whole game, you can attest, my sanity was down low, like below 6 the whole game. And I had it down to like 1 or 2. And then I drew this card that said, oh, you get a chance, when it was only 2 rounds left. And it said, you can play this during the expand phase, which is the last phase in the round, and to take a point for every 3 sanity you have. So I'm thinking, okay, if I get all the way up to 12, I think it's 12 is the highest, right?
Yeah.
Because, 12. If I got all up to 12, that'd be 4 points, right? I'd like to take advantage of that. But all whole game, my sanity's been that way. So then I got into that building, which allowed me to re-roll. So then from that time on, I focused on rolling low. So I was able to get 2 sanity every time, build my sanity back up. So I was able to get up to 12 by using some special abilities. And then I got that 4 points at the end of the game, which ended up winning me the game. So
I think you and Vaughn were like, what, 1 point apart?
We were tied.
Oh, you were tied?
We were tied, but the tiebreaker was...
magic?
Wait, were we tied? Oh, yeah. We were tied until... Okay, this is interesting. So you do that for 12 rounds, right? Kind of what we've been talking about, placing your dice and expanding and getting points and whatnot. And then... at the very beginning of the game during setup, you hide this festival card underneath the scenario card. Scenario gives you special rules for the whole game. So we played with one that was random that just did some different stuff. But then the festival card, you don't know what's on it. It could be something that's good for you. It could be something that's bad for you. Nobody knows. So at the end of the game, me and Vaughn were tied, and we flipped it over, and it was talking about remaining cubes that you had. So it was like whoever had the most purples got 2 points. That was me. So I jumped ahead of him by 2.
And I got the red and the black.
And then it was whoever had the most red and black. Vaughn had nothing left. So you came up, you caught up, but not close to winning.
Not even.
But all I got was that 1 because I had 1 purple cube left, and that won me the game, basically. So I like it. I think it's fun.
It is fun.
I think it's a little confusing the first game you play, but after that, it's a pretty good little Lovecraft themed game. So that's H.P. Lovecraft's Kingsport Festival. A frightening festival awaits you in the town, created by the gentleman from Providence. That's what the box says. That's spooky. And that's by Passport Games. All right, babe. I played some other things lately. Hey, we played something that's not at all Halloween-y, but I had wanted you to play for a while with your sister. The other night, we played Number 9.
Oh, yeah.
It could be fun. It could be spooky if you say Number 9. Now it's like we're we're introducing like a top 10 countdown. At number 9.
Yeah, I was trying to think of.
Oh my God. That was your cue to say something or anything, and you just went completely blank. You're on tonight, baby. You are on.
I was trying to think of that crazy voice I had earlier, and it's
oh God,
it's
please
left
forget
me.
it.
It's left me.
Forget it.
It's gone.
All right, number 9. What do you think about number 9? Talk a little bit about that.
Number 9. So I suck at that game, but it was super fun. It's like Tetris kind of. So there's 9 pieces, 9 wooden little pieces, and they're all shaped.
They're cardboard, but
they're cardboard, whatever. But they all have different shapes, like Tetris pizzas. And so you
they're numbers. First of all, yeah, they're 1 through 9.
So you get a card, and the card tells you what number you get, and so you get the number of the cardboard piece that correlates with it. So each, like I said, each number has its own specific shape that goes with it. So you try to you lay out your base, and you try to get them all to connect without having any little holes in the spaces. And then you want to make layers. So like your bottom base is worth nothing. And then if you can build up, and so like your second and your third, and I think it goes up to 4, doesn't it?
As many as you can go.
As many as you can go. So, but the thing is you have to, when you make your second and third and fourth layer, you have to overlap it on 2 other pieces, and it can't be, and it has to be exactly on it. Like it can't have one little piece off of it, or one little piece on an empty piece, or
yeah, there has to be a solid foundation.
It has to be solid foundation, yeah. And so it gets to be a little difficult and a little brain challenging, and I'm getting so frustrated at that game, but it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. And there's actually 10 numbers because there's a 0, which the 0 is the shittiest one because it's got a hole in it,
and you can't overlap it
yeah.
on top of a previous 0 because you have to overlap on 2. So it really just the 0 just screws you.
And the thing is, like, if you play 4 players, which is what you can, that's the max out of one box, you're going to get 2 of every number. So, when the 1 comes out, and what's kind of weird is because it is completely random because you're just drawing a card and then everybody gets that same number and they work with it. But because like if both the 9s come out early, well, you're screwed because they're both going to be on the bottom and they're not going to be worth any points.
Yeah, because it's point value, so it's face value. So
they multiply as you go up.
The bottom is nothing, and then the second layer is face value, and the third layer it's multiplied by 2, and if you happen to get a 4, you get to multiply by 3. So so you want your higher numbers to be in the top because they're going to give you more points.
Yep. So it's good if the zeros come out early, except that if they're on the base, then you have 2 holes there that are almost impossible to put anything on. Maybe you can get a 1 there, or something in between them, because that's the big thing. Like when you're building up your bases, like you said, there can't be any gaps when you lay another piece over. It has to be on a completely solid foundation, and it has to overlap 2. That's the other kicker, because you might have the perfect place to put like a 1 on a 0, but it doesn't overlap another number. Yeah, so it's very fun. It goes really fast. Probably takes 15 minutes to play a game, and it's one of those that like every time I play it, I want to just play it again, because you're like, oh, I could have done better. Shit. As soon as you put, you get the number at the wrong time, and you're like, oh, I could have done better than that, And so number 9 is pretty cool. And the other cool thing about it is it's got really unlimited players to it if you buy more sets. So like if you buy 2 sets, you can play with 8 people all at one time. And then if you buy 3 sets, you can play with 12 people all at one time. And you could get as many people around a table as you can fit to play that game. You just have to have the pieces. I've also heard of people playing that have 2 sets playing like a super or like an ultimate version where everybody's going to end up getting 4 of each number. So you can get those 5, 6, 7 stacks high, And you could, spooky fun. This is the least spooky episode ever. It's more like the sleepy episode. But so that's number 9. I wanted to mention that one because I just been wanting you to try it for a long time.
Yeah, super fun. I wish you had it. I played it at home.
I think your sister ended up buying another copy of it too, so that you could play 8 players. So maybe she'll let us borrow one.
She'll let me borrow one.
Or I should just buy it, then we could play 12 players.
There you go.
Like we know 12 people.
We don't.
No, we don't. So that's number 9. And
Love potion number 9.
Keep going. I'm trying to give you spooky background music.
That was horrible music.
That's great. What are you talking about? You left me hanging.
Sorry.
You left me hanging a lot here.
I'm sorry, baby.
All right. So we're going to move on to our next segment, which is our review of an upcoming Kickstarter game. We'll be right back. All right. We're here with a review of a game that we got from Playco Games. They're getting ready to start a Kickstarter. It should be out by the time this episode comes out. The game is called Epic Monster Tea Party. And Lee and Lilly and I played it tonight about 3 times, and we have some opinions on it. So let's talk about it. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
We're doing good.
We're doing
really?
great. We just played our 3rd round of the Epic Monster Tea Party upstairs while you were getting the recording stuff ready, and it went super fast at 2 players, and I totally won.
You totally won.
No, she didn't.
I totally did.
No, I didn't.
Who won the first 2 games that we played?
Me.
Yeah, you did. And who cheated me out all my points?
Me.
Mommy. Yeah.
I kept on convincing Lily that Daddy was winning, and so she kept on making him spill his tea or making him puke. So
let's explain what that even means, because that sounds like a terrible game. But let's
Mama B won.
All right, let's explain what this game is. So this game is, like I said, by Playco Games, designed by Robert B. Couch, and developed by Michael Needham and William Hilburn. It's got beautiful artwork by Anna Lepshikina, I think, and edited by Deanna Lee. So we got a chance to play this before it hits Kickstarter. Like I said, it should be up by the time this comes out. Here's what you do in Epic Monster Tea Party. So you pick a troll or a monster. Okay, I guess they're more than monsters. They're more than trolls. They're you could be one of 4 right now that we have in the prototype. We've got Stony Bones, is like a rock monster. We've got Purple Burper, which is like a big ogre-looking dude, and we've got Dragonfly, which is a dragon, and Trolly Poly, which is a troll. And they're all getting together to have a tea party, right? So you've got a player board with a picture of your character, and it also depicts a teacup on your player board. And what you do on your turn is you take these big chunky meeples, to set the game up, you take these big chunky meeples and you put them in what's called the labyrinth bag, which is a big black bag that goes in the middle of the table. And they all have numbers on them from 1 to 6 in the copy that we have. I think there's going to be some more in the Kickstarter version. There's going to be 3 more characters, I believe. But you start with Punch the Fighter. He's worth 1 point, and he allows you to drink the contents of what you have in your tea cup on your board. And there's Clara the Cleric. She allows you to draw another monster out of the bag. Shady the Rogue allows a monster to steal another hero meeple from the tea cup of another player, and then use their power by squishing them or putting them in their teacup. You got Wizzy the Wizard. He's worth 5 points. He allows you to spill the contents back into the bag off of someone else's player board or your own even. Elfin the Ranger. This is the most interesting one, I think. It makes you... He's poison. He's worth 6 points, but he's poison. So when you get him, he has no special power to use. You just have to put him in your teacup, right? And then when you drink the contents of your teacup, if he's still in there, you have to immediately put everything in all the meeples in your bag. So I didn't really explain that very well. Everybody has their own little bag for their character, and that's their stomach. And then so you put all those meeples in there that were in your teapot, and if you have an elfin guy in there, he's poisoned, so you have to reach in and randomly pull out 2. So he's worth 6 points, and if you don't pull him out, that's good. But you could...
And of course, puking noises is encouraged.
Ugh,
Like this.
Not by me. Not by me. And then there are some other characters that we didn't have in this prototype, Bart the Bard, and then the King and Queen, which those might be stretch goals. I'm not sure on that. But so basically, on your turn, with those characters in mind, you pull one out of the bag randomly out of the center of the table, and you decide to either use it for its power by squishing it, which means it goes out of the game, but you do its power immediately, or put it in your teacup and then hope to get the red one that's worth 1, which is the Punch the Warrior, and it enables you to drink what you have in your teacup. So you're basically trying to decide, do I spill my poison guy? Do I just go for points? So what do you guys think about how it plays? Did you like it, Lo?
Yeah, I
You
really
did?
did like it. Because I played it like 3 times.
3 times in a row.
It was
right?
really, really fun.
So what did you think? What was your favorite character to use? Like
Like the meeples.
yeah.
The girl that you draw another character because you used to draw another character, and if it's actually the puke one, then the puke one has 6 on it,
Mm-hmm.
and because all of them have a number on the back, and if you get the 6th one and you draw, if you do the redraw, then it's a really good one because you might get a 6.
Yep.
Even though the 6 makes you pull out 2 of them, but it's all right because you already have 6 and you're probably gonna
You
win.
hope so. Yeah. You hope you don't draw that guy out of the bag, right?
Yeah.
So you like
because
the
it's
redraw.
really good.
You like the redraw ability. What about you, Lee? What did you think? And what was your favorite power?
Well, I only got the puke guy once.
That's crazy because I got him like 100 times.
I know, right? I also like the girl, the redraw girl, because
Yeah.
once you have your teacup full, you just draw her till you pick a 1 punch out, and then
Till you
you
get a
can
drink.
drink, and then
Yep.
you're all set. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my problem. I could get stuff built up, and then I couldn't get a drink out of the bag. So then I would redraw, and then I would draw a puke guy. So then I would be stuck with all these points, but then you guys would spill them with the wizard and make them go back in the bag. Or,
Because I'm a very convincing mommy.
yeah, Lee was like, oh, Daddy's got all the points, Lily. Make him spill. And then when it came time to count up points, who had like 2 meeples in his bag? Me.
And then his honest to goodness response was, I
I-
hate you and I'm never playing again.
But I won.
Yeah, Lily won.
did.
The
So
2
thank you, Mama.
You're welcome, baby.
Mommy is not winning. She is beautiful and smart.
What about me? I was
This
a big
is
fat loser.
scripted.
I gave you all your points.
You're chopped liver.
Oh, thanks. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, I really thought as a really quick playing filler game, it was really fun. I thought, for kids at least Lily's age and probably even a little younger could understand it. And it could be a fun little party game, for even adults. Probably takes, 10 minutes to play.
Yeah, if you like having a birthday party that's themed with all different kind of monsters,
You could have a
dragons.
tea party
Yeah.
and play
it would
the
be
tea
great.
party game.
Yeah, on my birthday.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, there you
I
go.
know what it is.
So I think we all actually really enjoyed Epic Monster Tea Party.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
All right, so look for that on Kickstarter, starting, I do believe, the 24th. So it should be up right now. Go out and check it out. And now it's time for our first annual Spooktabular Halloween episode feature. This week I knew I was going to be flying solo with Leandra in China, so I reached out to a few board game personalities to help me out with this segment. For a long time I've wanted to do something like this. When I was young, let's just reach back and give you a little dose of my childhood, and you'll see where this is coming from. Halloween has always been one of my favorite times of the year, and one of the big reasons why is when I was, let's say, 9 years old to probably 13, I was into the paranormal, and that was spurred on by the movie Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. I was a bit obsessed with that, along with a couple of friends of mine, and when I say a bit obsessed, I mean in the way that I watched the movie every single day, one or the other of them, for probably 2 straight years of my life. And this was in the days before the internet and tablets. And so if I was going to be somewhere where I couldn't watch the movies, I dubbed them onto cassette tapes so that I could listen to them in my Walkman. I still have all of the dialogue of both of those movies implanted permanently into my brain, for good or ill. And we not only were fans of these movies, we also wanted to recreate them in real life in a way that we thought they were real. So ghosts were really a big part of our lives. And we formed the Ghostbusters Jr. My friend Mitch and Benny. They don't go by those names anymore. think they're in witness relocation. But so we formed the Ghostbusters Jr. Back in the late 80s, early 90s. And we put up our posters in the local supermarket and little cork boards around town with their father's number on it. And it wasn't long until he started receiving calls, much to his chagrin. he was not happy about that. So we were forced to take down all of our posters. But in that time, we investigated in our own way, our own, pre-teen adolescent way, a lot of haunted areas around where we live. And it occurred to me that much of ghosts and the reality of the supernatural depends on your ability to suspend your disbelief. And so as I got older, I kind of realized the disillusioning that I'd had by, searching for ghosts for years and years and years and then never seeing one, spooking myself out, but many times in different situations, but never actually seeing a ghost. I thought that was weird since I just thought they were everywhere. And as I got older, I realized after reading Carl Sagan and Richard Dawkins and the real truth tellers, the people who are skeptics, the Alex Joneses of the world, the people who really tell it like it is, that to believe anything you're told at face value is dangerous. So that being said, I asked our contributors for some spooky stories, ghost stories, or something that they thought was paranormal. So Leandra gives us a tale of an apparition that she once saw, and Jamey Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games, one of the best designers out there in board game land, contributed 3 stories. He actually gave me 3 to choose from, and he was like, just pick the best one. Well, I'm certainly not going to miss the opportunity to analyze all 3 of these stories, because you see, I don't want these people to continue to go through their lives thinking that the paranormal is real. Because if there's one thing I know for sure in this world is there's no such thing as ghosts. There's always a more scientific and rational explanation for everything. And Stephen Spang from the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast is going to lend us a little levity in this segment. But make no mistake, Steve is with me. He does not believe in ghosts. He couldn't even come up with a scary story. So I think we're safe to say that he's on the side of rationality. So let's move on to some of our stories. Let's hear Jamey's first spooky tale, and then I will scientifically break down what actually probably happened.
Hi, this is Jamey Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games, and this is my scary story for Halloween 2017. I tried really hard to think of a scary board game related story, but I couldn't think of one. I play a lot of games that make me feel different things, but afraid or fear is not really one of them, or at least that I can think of. So I thought I would share a story about when I was camping about 15 years ago. I was in my early 20s, and it was a group of friends. My girlfriend was there, maybe 8 of us total, and we were just having a great camping trip. We were just relaxing, sitting around the fire, drinking beers, and enjoying the beautiful weather. And it was getting pretty late. Things were starting to die down for the most part, and most importantly, the fire was dying down. And I had a few beers by that point and decided that I would save the fire by going into the woods, pitch black woods, with a one of those little head flashlight things that doesn't shine much light but can give you a little bit of illumination. And I thought, I'd go out in the woods and I'll come back with a big log, and I'll get this party started again. And so no one really protested, and so I stumbled off into the woods about maybe 100 feet away from any of the other campsites, pitch black, completely pitch black. And I found a log, and I started dragging it down towards the campsite. And as terrible as this sounds, this actually might have worked out. I don't know how we would have cut up that log, or how it would have gotten it through the woods, because it was a pretty big one. But out of nowhere, I heard something drop to the ground, or that's what I thought I heard. I'm still convinced that's what I heard. Something dropped to the ground and looked at me. These two bright eyes in the darkness looked at me. And I thought it was a bear. I still think it was a bear. My friends might contradict that, though they weren't there. It was just me in the woods. And so I took off running. And so that's really the only scary part of the story, that I was maybe face to face with a bear in the middle of the night, in the middle of the darkness. Looking back, the actual scary part that I should have been thinking about was running at full speed through the pitch black woods in the midst of all these trees. Like that was probably more dangerous than me going face to face with a small animal in the woods. But fortunately and luckily, I somehow made it back to the campsite and told everyone the story. Of course, no one believed me. I don't even know really what part of it is true at this point. I feel like I know what I saw, but I also know that I had a few beers and it was nighttime, and I'm easily scared by things in the night. So it could have been anything. So that is my, and it was actually it was late summer, so kind of around this time of year. So that is my my Halloween spooky scary story, and I look forward to Ben figuring out what really happened. Thanks.
Quite the harrowing tale, Jamey. And I see that you may have tried to do my job for me and cut me off at the pass by downplaying some of the supernatural aspects of your story. You have come to the conclusion that it must have been a bear. And you would actually mentioned a few points that I would like to address. One is the consumption of alcohol. Being inebriated can sometimes lead to the jumping to conclusions, such as that you saw a bear. Who knows? It may have been a bear. It may have been some other woodland creature. But have you ever considered that it could have been a Sasquatch? That's right. Not a ghost at all. Something tangible and physical. Bigfoot. The smelly ape, as he is sometimes known. Well known to be around these parts in the Midwest, roaming the woods. His purpose? No one knows. But one thing's for sure. It's quite likely that you ran into him that night. So there you go. Put your fears at ease. Absolutely not a ghost, and probably not even a bear. Now that one's settled, let's go to Steve Spang from the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast for a little levity.
Happy Halloween, everyone. This is Steve from the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast, bringing you joy. Joy in the form of wonderful jokes. So, what room in your house scares ghosts? The living room. Alright, you didn't like that one? I understand. I didn't either. Fortunately, I'm not being paid for this, so let me try again. What street do ghouls, goblins, and the living dead prefer to inhabit? Dead ends.
Very nice, Steve. Now let's move into Jamey's second tale of terror. This one's a bit different than the first, but I'm sure we'll find a rational explanation to it.
Hi, this is Jamey Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games, and this is my scary, spooky story. When I was growing up, I grew up Catholic, and so we celebrated Christmas every year. And Christmas Eve was always a nerve-wracking night for me, because I was, like I think many kids are the night before Christmas. I was very excited, but I was also always scared that something would go wrong. I don't know why this was my excitement manifested in this fear, but I was always legitimately afraid that something was going to go wrong. But sometime on the 24th, between the 24th and the 25th, when I would wake up, and I had a pretty active imagination as well. And there's one year, I was probably maybe 9 or 10, somewhere around that age. I woke up around 4 a.m. and I was absolutely convinced that someone was in the house that shouldn't have been in the house. I could hear them walking around. I could hear them going up the stairs and walking across the carpet. And as I heard this, I tried to rationalize it. I thought, okay, surely this is not a real thing. Surely I'm not actually hearing this. But my Christmas Eve craziness convinced me, just in case, you should probably hide under your desk, because that will, if there is someone in the house, then you won't know about it. And so at 4 a.m. in the morning, I crawled under my desk and stayed there, absolutely petrified and wide awake, until 8 or 9 in the morning when everybody else woke up. And hopefully you can tell, obviously, there was no one in the house. Nothing was going on. But I think sometimes the things in your head are just as terrifying as real life. And it was legitimately scary. Like, I really thought someone was in the house, and I really thought that they might be hurting my family out there. But me, the little coward that I was hiding under my desk instead of trying to go help everybody. And I think I shared this memory with my family. I don't think they really knew about it, but I shared this memory with them a few Christmases ago when we were all going around the table telling like cheery Christmas stories. And I was like, well, how about this? This is what my Christmas Eve was like. And they were, I think, a little worried, but they knew that everything was okay. So that is my story of Christmas Eve horror. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamey, for that tale of Yuletide terror. Now, you seem to be on the right track, thinking that it was just your overactive child's imagination, which can, in fact, be responsible for many, if not most, ghost stories told by children. An overactive imagination is a good sign of creativity, especially in your case. We can see that it turned out you're a very creative person. And sometimes that gets overexploited on times of high anxiety, like holidays and any time that anticipation is there. So it very well could have just been your imagination, as you say, but I suspect there's something more afoot here. It's not a ghost. It's that jolly old elf, Saint Nick. Hiding under that desk was probably the smartest thing you could have done, because you could have ruined Christmas. It sounds to me like the most likely scenario is you almost interrupted Santa Claus in the middle of his nocturnal activities. And I mean, I'm not saying I would never impugn someone's mother. I'm not going to say he was kissing her or anything like that. He was probably just putting presents under the tree. But it's best that you did not interrupt him, because, I mean, I have not heard any good stories about anyone who does. Now, secondarily, that's a little bit of a stretch. It might not have been old Saint Nick. It could have been Krampus. Now, Krampus is the demonic counterpart to Santa Claus. He is the yin to the yang, or yang to the yin, or however that goes. Known to embody all of the things opposite of Christmas spirit. And I mean, you really don't want to come face to face with him. So either way, it sounds to me like you dodged a Christmas bullet. And even if you only got coal in your stocking that year, I'd say you should count yourself lucky. There we go. No ghosts. See? There's always a rational explanation. Now let's go to Leandra's tale and see what we can glean from her experience.
All right. So, February 2011, my 45-year-old stepfather passed away. And I went to Connecticut to be with my mom. And, obviously she's mourning and that kind of stuff. So we're in the house and we're going through some of his things. And she decides that she needs to redo her bedroom. She can no longer have her bedroom be the way it was when Michael was alive. So she decides that she wants to move the big TV from her bedroom down to the basement. So this is before flat screens were, she could afford a flat screen. So this was just one of those big, huge, fat, humongous TVs. So of course, Mom's bedroom's on the second floor. So her and I go upstairs and we attempt to take the television off of the table. And thankfully, the first set of stairs were carpeted. So I had the TV in my hand and we're sliding the TV down the carpeted stairs. And of course, my mom's holding onto the plug because, that's really helping. So we're sliding the TV down the stairs. We get down to the bottom of the stairs and then it's the basement. So then we have to go down the basement stairs. So then they're rickety, wood, narrow, little itty bitty stairs. So I'm at the bottom and I've got the base of the TV and Mom's holding the plug. Very helpful. And I get about 3 stairs down and Michael was there. Like, it wasn't like he was, like I saw his ghost or anything. It was like a veil kind of went over my eyes. Like, it just kind of went over and Michael was looking at me with his arms crossed like he always did. And he was looking at me and Mom doing what we're doing, being absolute ridiculous, carrying this TV down a set of stairs. And he was just shaking his head no with his little grin on his face. And I stopped cold in my tracks. And I told Mom, I said, Michael does not approve of us moving this TV like this down the stairs. And she said, did you just see him? And I was like, I don't know what I just experienced. I'm not saying I just saw Michael in the corner, but like his image, his face, his body, his everything just like went right in front of my eyes. Like, it was just like I said, like a veil just kind of went right over. And there he was, just standing there with his arms crossed and shaking his head and had a little grin on his face. And that was it. Like, that was it. Me and Mom proceeded to, actually, we sat at the stairs and cried for a few minutes. And then we proceeded to move the TV down the stairs and went about our way. And I've never experienced anything like that before and never experienced anything like that again. It was incredible.
Incredible indeed. But credibility is in the eye of the beer holder, as I have been told. Now, stress can be a very powerful emotion. Anyone who's ever experienced it knows this. And grief can also be very powerful. And when you combine those two, they can have many, many undesirable effects on the human mind. And it could be said that this vision you had was a result of these two things. I'm not quite willing to say that completely, but there's also the matter of carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a problem in some older houses like your mom used to live in, and it can sometimes gather in pockets in areas where air gets trapped, like stairwells, for instance, or basements. So it's possible that you inhaled enough carbon monoxide to induce a hallucination. Now, that is actually a very probable thing that happened, brought on all of the combination of that carbon monoxide overdose and stress and grief. Also, in the Northeast, where you're from, in Connecticut and Massachusetts and New York, back in the 60s and all the way up through, some say, the early 80s when you were born, the CIA ran a program known as MK Ultra, where they secretly dosed people in universities and hospitals with hallucinogenics such as LSD and tried to experiment with the effects on them for making a super soldier, a sort of Manchurian candidate that could be triggered at the right time to do any act that they deem necessary. Now, I'm not saying you're a Manchurian candidate, but there could be some dosing of the water system in Massachusetts and Connecticut still. Some say that it's a vast network of CIA operatives that are still fluoridating the water and putting hallucinogenics in cisterns and wells and things to test the effects. You know, I don't know for sure, but chances are it was not a ghost. It was LSD. Now, let's lighten the mood with one more hilarious bon mot from our friend and yours, Stephen Spang, from the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast.
But seriously, all right, I'll give you one more. Why are there fences all around cemeteries? Because everyone's dying to get in. Happy Halloween.
Hi, this is Jamey Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games, and this is my scary story. When I was little, I think before I went through puberty, but maybe up until puberty, I was a sleepwalker. I would every once in a while usually when I have like a mild fever, I would end up sleepwalking. And usually this was innocent. There was one time that I woke up just sitting downstairs in my living room because I had walked down there in my sleep. There were other times that my parents kind of caught me like trying to climb a bookshelf in the middle of the night. But there's one time, and that was a little scary. Like in hindsight, it is scary what I almost did because of the sleepwalking, and I'm glad I didn't. But also the thing that was in my head was also pretty scary. I think I had a minor fever, and my parents woke up and heard someone in the house, and it was me. And they came out of their bedroom and they saw me. This is them telling me this. I don't remember any of this. They saw me sitting at the top of our staircase and just kind of sitting there in thought. I don't know if I was talking to myself, but in thought. And they said, "Hey, Jamey, what's And they knew to kind of talk me through these instances. They didn't want to surprise me. They said, "Hey, Jamey, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, Mom and Dad, can horses come upstairs?" And they said, "Well, why do you ask?" And I said, "Well, I'm worried about the horses coming up the stairs, and so I'm thinking about just making a run for it." And my parents kind of realized, maybe through talking to me a little bit more, that I was about to walk down the stairs and walk out of the house and just run for it. And we didn't have horses. There were no horses anywhere nearby. And so they told me that horses can't come upstairs. And when I heard that, they've told me I heard that now, and I was okay with that explanation. I was like, okay, well, that's good enough for me. I guess I'll go back to bed. And I think they took me to the bathroom and made sure I had some water, basically got rid of the mild fever, whatever was going on. But in my head, I was really afraid that these horses were going to come up the stairs. And in hindsight, the thing I'm talking about is that I think I was pretty close to running out of our house into the night, which is could be pretty dangerous. I've heard stories of sleepwalkers who do dangerous things, and I think that would have been one of them. So I'm lucky that I didn't do that, despite my fear and my fever, thanks to my parents kind of talking me out of it. That's my scary story, and I look forward to Ben refuting what was happening there. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamey, for that tale of nighttime perambulation. Sleepwalking is a condition affecting many youths, including myself. I was a sleepwalker. Mine usually resulted in me peeing in a trash can or some other embarrassing thing at a sleepover. But yours sounds like you got into some adventures yourself. Scientists have recently found that sleepwalking might be a result of something in our DNA. So if sleepwalking is genetic, then you might be compelled to believe that we have no control over it. While this may be true, there could be another faction at play here, and that's extraterrestrials. That's right, aliens. Almost every abduction story takes place in a sort of sleep paralysis state, where one's body acts independently of their will, and they're unable to control their limbs, and sometimes they have vague memories of the occasion. Every once in a while, this is witnessed by someone, and it always appears to be sleepwalking, when in actuality it is the target being lured into a clear spot so that the alien craft can swoop down and pick them up. Nothing supernatural about this at all. I mean, in the vast universe that we exist in, it's inevitable that there's other intelligent life. And in my opinion, it's probably inevitable that they are coming at night to take our children. And they're disguising it, in this deeply embedded genetic predisposition that we have. And that's what they hide behind. So, I have no doubt that when I was sleepwalking and peeing in trash cans, it was probably the result of alien mind control. And probably, the fact that you saw horses is also congruent with a lot of abduction stories. Aliens sometimes appear to people as animals, such as owls or even horses. So I think that's a really good probability. It was definitely nothing supernatural. There's nothing more natural than intelligent life from the distant stars. And that's going to be it for our first annual Extravagarbanzo Halloween feature. I'd like to thank Jamey Stegmaier for stepping up to the plate. I mean, what a guy. He has done a lot in a short time for the board gaming community. He kind of single-handedly spearheaded the new Kickstarter board game revolution. He's a bit of a savant when it comes to those sort of things. And as a game designer, he and Alan Stone are probably one of the best 1-2 punch teams in board gaming right now. So I know we didn't talk a lot about board games on this episode, as much as we normally do anyway. But if you haven't checked out Euphoria, Viticulture, Scythe, and the upcoming Charterstone, definitely get into them. They're some of the best games available on the market, and that's not just me, blowing smoke up his ass for contributing. That's the truth in gaming. So his company has had a real renaissance when it comes to how to do things in the modern age in board games. And I think that's contributed to a lot of the trends we see for better components and more interactivity with the community from companies. So thanks, Jamey. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to play Charterstone. And also to Steven Spang from the Secret Cabal Gaming Podcast. Thanks, man, for your jokes and for being a cool guy. You didn't have to do this, and I really thank you that you could. And for everybody else I reached out to that wasn't able to get to us this week, hey, maybe next time. Now, let's move on to our final feature, IRL.
There's something strange in your neighborhood. Who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
If it's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call?
And now it's time for everyone's favorite segment on our spooky Halloween special. There's nothing too spooky about IRL today, except for I'm without my main co-host. Leandra is away in China, the scariest place on earth. But I have my sidekick with me today. Say hello, sidekick.
Hello.
I said say hello, sidekick. You're supposed to say hello, sidekick.
Wait, I am?
Why do you sound so weird?
Because of the Katy Perry concert, and that's what we're going to talk about today, right?
Yeah, IRL. Yes, you sound like a little boy now.
No, I don't. Okay, yeah, I kind of do.
You kind of do. We recorded some stuff for the podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a Halloween-themed skit.
Yeah, everybody's heard it already. But that's why you sound weird in that, too, because we did that the same night, huh?
Yeah, like we did it just today.
You got a bit of a frog in your throat, huh?
Yes.
You got laryngitis.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's from screaming at the Katy Perry concert?
Yes.
All right, well, let's talk about that. So we went up the day that Mommy went to China. You and I and Vaughn and Craig, 3 men and a baby, went up to St. Louis and saw Katy Perry, the Witness Tour. What did you think about that, baby girl?
I absolutely loved it. And Katy Perry, she actually did a heel stretch. And she burped when she ate pizza.
That's right. She tried some Emo's pizza, and then she lied and said it was better than New York pizza, didn't she?
Yeah.
But then she burped. Like this. Oh, dang. I thought I had one, but I don't.
Like, it's coming up. It's coming up. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I was sure I had one, but I didn't. So what was your favorite part of the concert?
My favorite part was the one where she did swish, swish, bish. I can't even say it.
That was your favorite one? Where she did the basketball? She brought the guy up to play basketball?
Yeah, the dad.
Yeah, and he beat her, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about all the the cool special effects and the lasers and stuff? That was pretty cool, huh?
That was amazing. Almost everyone on the down, because we were up on the sides and everybody else was down there.
Mm-hmm.
And they got sparkles. They got beach balls that had eyeballs on them. They got all the good stuff. And the people on the side were just like,
Well, we got a good show. That's what happens when you buy your tickets like the week before, or 2 weeks before. The only seats left are the ones up in the nosebleed section, huh?
Yep.
But it was pretty good. We could see everything good, couldn't we?
All of us, every single one of us in that whole entire room that was like 1,000 feet long, we all did the wave.
That's right. We did the wave.
And it was amazing.
It was pretty good, huh?
And some of us tried to do it after we were all done. And we're like, and the other people were like, no, we're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, we had a lot of false starts of the wave, didn't we?
Yeah, we're like, some people started in the middle, some people started at the end. It was like, no, not doing this anymore.
Hey, and you actually stayed awake for this whole Katy Perry concert.
Yeah, because you let me have sugar all night.
Yeah, that's right. You don't usually drink soda or anything like that, do you?
No, because you don't let me.
But I let you that night, didn't I?
Yep.
It worked. Except you had a stomach ache at the end, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
You ate a bunch of cotton candy. You didn't even finish your cotton candy.
Nope, I did not. Because I didn't like the pink one. It was gross.
That was a $10 cotton candy.
I am so sorry, though. But I like the blue. I just didn't finish it.
That's okay. Well, so all in all, do you think it was a pretty good trip?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all we got in IRL. We're just waiting for Mommy to get home, right?
Yeah, and she's coming home, and I'm so excited. She's coming home in 5 days.
Yep. What's she bringing you?
She's bringing me squishies.
Squishies from China.
There's probably 4 of them, and then she gave me one of those cats that their paw goes forwards and backwards, but mine is like chubby and it's smiling and it's white and it's so adorable.
Is that the solar powered cat thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And then some squishies, right? Squishies are your life, right?
Yes, they're my life.
I don't know. What's your life now? Is it squishies or slime?
It's between, but mostly squishies.
Okay. If you don't know what squishies are, you don't have an 8-year-old girl. All right.
Your 8-year-old girl lives under a rock.
That's right. All right, frog face. We're gonna wrap this up here. What do you say?
No.
It's your bedtime anyway.
Oh.
Thanks for doing this with me and helping me out while Mommy was gone with the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be a good one, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love you.
Love you.
Now go to bed.
Aw.
And that concludes episode number 12 of the Not Safe for Worker Placement podcast, Halloween Spooktabular. We would like to thank Jamey Stegmaier of Stonemaier Games. You can visit him at stonemeiergames.com and see his blog posts about Kickstarter and all the trials and tribulations of running a board game company in the modern age. And we'd also like to thank Steven Spang from the Secret Cabal Gaming podcast. Both those guys were awesome contributors today, and we couldn't have done this special episode without them. So, listen to the Secret Cabal. If you don't already, you should. That's where my inspiration for this podcast came from. They are the biggest and best in board gaming podcasts, so check them out at secretcabal.com. And also visit us at www.nsfwppodcast.com, where you can find links to our Facebook, Twitter, and iTunes, so you can download and subscribe. If you are an iTunes user, please subscribe and like, and also review. I guess that's a rate and review. If you do that, hey, it would help us. If you'd like to hear some outtakes from this episode, stick around. They'll be right after my full version of the Ghostbusters cover that I did. This is a culmination of kind of my life's obsessions, which is music and playing instruments and Ghostbusters. So if you would like your own copy of this, you can go to bandcamp.com/echostrum, ECHOSTRUM, at Bandcamp, and you can download it for free, or you can pay whatever you want, and any proceeds I make from this song will go straight to Extra Life, who donates all their money to children's charities. So I'd like to invite you all back next episode for lucky number 13, where we'll talk about some such other things having to do with board games. Wait, hey, Lily, go away. I'm recording. Who is Lily? Who's there? Maurice? Don't you do it. Don't, Maurice. Back off, man. Back off. To Maurice.
Sometimes shit happens, someone has to deal with it, and who are you gonna call?
In your neighborhood, who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
If it's something weird and it don't look good, who you gonna call? Run through your head, who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
An invisible man sleeping in your bed, who you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
If you're all alone, pick up that phone and call.
We're ready to believe you.
Anybody in the house afraid of ghosts? Not me. I know who to call. I got the number right here on my phone. Bustin' makes me feel good. Woo!
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
All right.
Is this true? Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
Well, what is it? What is it?
Not safe. Wait. Ninja snakes. Fucking werewolf pussies.
That's it. That's what it will be. Naked skeletons found walking puppies. Why doesn't that work?
He's on a sex offender list.
Just because he's naked?
And he's walking puppies. He's trying to get little kids.
Oh, God.